Hi friends, it's day 4 of fall baking and treat week for our holiday themed weeks, and today we have some delicious truffles. I love making truffles because they're really easy and you can customize them in so many ways, and I had this idea for a pumpkin spiced mocha truffle, so today we're trying it out. We start by adding a cup of cream to a saucepan. I'm also adding a tablespoon of ground coffee. I decided to use Bones decaf coffee, and then I'm also adding a teaspoon of pumpkin spice as well as a teaspoon of cinnamon because I like some extra cinnamon with my pumpkin spice. Then after giving that a little mix, we're going to pop it onto the stove and let it come to a simmer. After it comes to a simmer over a medium-low heat, then we're going to turn off the burner and then pop the lid on top and allow the cream to steep with the flavors for a little bit longer. We could skip this step and just go straight to straining it and pouring it into our chocolate, but I decided to do this part just to make sure that the flavor was really present. After letting it come back to a simmer, then we're going to pour it through a strainer on top of our 2 cups of chocolate. Here I'm using a combination of a 90% dark chocolate bar as well as semi-sweet chocolate chips. Once we're done straining our cream into our chocolates, then we're going to give that a mix. If we need to use the microwave, I put it in a microwave safe bowl just in case I needed to add some extra heat to make sure that all the chocolate gets melted. And once all the chocolate is melted, we're going to cover this with plastic wrap and press it right against the top to make sure a film doesn't form, and then pop it into the fridge to allow it to completely set. I usually like to do this the day before or the night before so that it has all night to set. Then we remove that plastic and we're using a small cookie scoop to do our ganache to make sure that they're all the same size. And once all of our scoops are done with clean hands, of course, we're going to carefully roll them into balls, just making sure they look more even and not as lumpy. Then we pop those back in the fridge to set for a little while, and for the coating, I decided to do a combination of some salted caramel flavored melting wafers and some vanilla flavored melting wafers. I did a 50-50 ratio, 1 cup of each. They're in a microwave safe bowl, so I popped them in the microwave in short increments, stirring between each increment until all the melts are just melted, and I started dipping some of the truffles before I added a little bit of vegetable oil. I decided to add that just so it was a little bit thinner, a little bit easier to coat. And from here, we're just popping our truffles into our melts, making sure it gets completely coated. I use a fork to pick it up and shake off the excess, scrape off some excess as well, and carefully place it onto a parchment paper lined sheet pan. And then immediately after each truffle or after every couple of truffles, I add a little leaf sprinkle as well as some gold sugar sprinkles. Once we're done, they're ready to enjoy. The mixture on the inside is a little bit bitter because of the type of chocolate combined with the coffee and also the spices, but with that sweeter coating on the outside, it is such a great combination. And overall, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think the flavor is good and I love the decorations. But what do you think of these and would you give them a try? Make sure to let me know in the comments, and of course stay tuned for our final day of fall baking and treat week for our holiday theme weeks tomorrow.